No, it's devastating. The whole island. You can't even get on this. The bridge is out, so yeah. So Kevin and Art are staying with Art's brother-in-law. They take his boat to get over to the island every day. It will work out.
It's just so you know, I got to got a 28.
Oh, oh well.
Huh? Hey, Rick, how are you? Thank you. Or for sure, Mike will speak on it. Or for sure, Mike will speak on it. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, make it all leave. Things will get quiet.
Yeah, I was gonna move the fire truck. Yeah. I was gonna do that.
Yeah, so I think everybody would like to hear it.
Guys ready? I wish this worked in my classroom. I think we're gonna get started in about a minute. Council members, if you can join us.
Oh, wow. Nice.
I'd like to welcome everybody to our October 5th Brigantine City Council meeting. If everybody could please rise for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if everyone could remain standing while our Deputy Mayor, Karen View, leads us in prayer.
Heavenly Father, we pray for those affected by the destruction of Hurricane Liam. Give them strength as they Ian. Give them strength as they begin to rebuild their lives, their homes, and their businesses. As we start a new chapter in our fire department, please watch over our new chief and his firefighters. Keep them safe as they protect our island. Many of our friends and neighbors are celebrating Yom Kippur this week. We ask that you hear their prayers and you shower them with beautiful blessings. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
And please remain standing for a moment of silence. Councilman Kane.
Folks, if you don't mind, I'd like to have a moment of silence for the DeChristopher family. Most of you know Mr. DeChristopher and his family. They've been a staple in this community since we were all little kids. Lost his battle with cancer the other night, and they're just amazing people. So I was hoping we could have a moment of silence for him, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Lynn, can you read the Open Public Meetings Act announcement?
This is to advise the meeting notices covering this meeting have been sent and posted as required under the Open Public Meetings Act.
Thank you. We're going to reorder things a little bit just to kind of help run the meeting very smooth. I know there's a lot of guests here who are here for a very special moment. First thing, can we have approval of our September 21st, 2022 council meeting and executive session minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We need approval of requisition list, operating expenses, and payroll. We have a motion second.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
At this time, we'll open the meeting up to public comment, and this is public comment on agenda items only. Seeing no public comment, we'll close the public portion. I thought at least one firefighter would come up. Let me talk about Paul. All right, next up, this is where we're going to start to reshuffle things. Later in the meeting, we were going to do a presentation on the need for a new fire truck here in Brigantine, but I wanted to have that discussion now. For those of you who are unaware at our last council meeting, we talked about the current truck we have now. It's about 22 years old. Fire trucks last about 25 years. Since Sandy, a lot of things in our community have changed. The homes have gotten bigger, elevations have gotten higher, and we want to make sure that we have the equipment we need to properly serve our community. One of the biggest changes that's coming down too is something called the New Jersey Protection Against Climate Threats. This could add another 5 feet of freeboard to all of the homes going forward. So this is something we need to be prepared for as the homes get taller and bigger. The other thing we're looking at too is what is the expense of maintaining the current fire truck we have now? So at our last council meeting, we asked Chief Fuller to look into these things for us, and I know he has a presentation that we're looking forward to, so I will turn it over to the chief.
Thank you, Mayor. I put together a couple packets for each one of the council members to look over.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Chief. Thanks, Bill.
Did Tiger ever give out pamphlets like this?
There is a bunch of pictures.
To begin, what we're looking at is a proposal for a new ladder truck to replace our aging one. One of the things, and you can see in the page of bullet points I put together, as Mayor said, is since Sandy, we're faced with growth in the homes through homes being elevated, Ranchers are now two-story homes. Two-story homes are now 3 stories, and et cetera. And that's looking to probably increase as the New Jersey PAC comes out and is looking to propose higher flood elevations. In 2009, it was 10-foot elevation for your base flood. Currently, it's 12 feet, and the proposed New Jersey PAC regulations could bring that elevation up to 15 feet. So even just through sea rise and climate change alone, the homes are going to continue to increase in height. In our jurisdiction, the growth in geography, we talked on Sandy increase in the flood levels, building growth, mutual aid. Our island's a one entrance island. So we have to pull mutual aid from only in one direction, and that neighbor being Atlantic City. Atlantic City has their own issues that they deal with. So if their ladders aren't available when we need one, the next neighboring towns would have to respond. And that's going to be a crucial time frame to them to get on scene just to help us out. The age of the apparatus is 22 years old currently. NFPA recommends that first line apparatus be replaced into reserve at 15 years. We're already 7 years past that. And then 25 years, they should be placed out of service. So we're approaching 2 years when it should be placed out of service. And then when it comes to maintenance and such, this truck, the manufacturers of this truck are no longer in business. They close shop. So to find parts for this truck, they have to be custom built, and they're difficult to come by, which comes with a heavier price tag. Currently, since 2016, the cost for this truck are $140,000. And that is just to keep it bare bones, safe and operational. Those numbers could have been even higher, but we kind of cut back to try and save some money. And then with that, the ISO rating, if you're familiar with, is an insurance industry standard rating that insurance companies use to determine a homeowner's premiums, insurance premiums. By increasing to a larger ladder from 75 foot to 100, which is what we're looking for, we'll be able to max out the available points that Brigantine will be offered to have an ISO rating. So we would go from a 3.8, which we currently are, to a 4.0. And all these little points that come in different demographics will add up. So it might not seem like a lot, and that's to help control insurance costs for the homeowners.
Yeah, I think that's similar too. Like we put a lot of money and effort into our CRS rating here in the city, and that has to do with flood prevention and flood resiliency, which has resulted in a 25% savings for our homeowners when it comes to their flood insurance. We're working on a 30% savings, but it's something I thought we should start to focus on as well as with our ISO rating and how we can start to save money that way. You talked about the 100-foot ladder versus the current 75-foot ladder we have now. I know you have some pictures and stuff here, but what is the benefit of the larger ladder?
Yes, Mayor, I do. I put a couple pictures on there that we used. One was at a recent fire we had in August. And if you see that residence is a single-story Cape Cod with a 2-story finished attic. That's a home that's been here for 80 years that was not elevated. It's a normal house that we've seen growing up. And that picture there is its most horizontal reach. That ladder cannot be extended any further, and you can see it just barely made the roof of that house. So if you're looking at larger houses, especially elevated ones, we would end up falling short of our goal of being able to reach that roof if we had to get to it. The two at the bottom you'll see is demo trucks that we had there. One's a 75 foot, our current ladder. The other one's 100 foot. And when we demoed the truck, we brought it down to the hotel to try and actually get a visual of what 25 feet extra could do. The 100 foot was able to reach the 8th floor of the Brigantine Hotel. The 75 foot safely reached the 5th floor of the hotel there. So that picture would help. It really kind of sends a message on what that can do. The truck we're looking at has a basket on the end of it. And what that brings is an element of safety to our firefighters and the people that we're trying to rescue. It's a lot easier to get someone out of a building and into a basket that's 4 by 3 feet than it is onto the tip of a ladder. People get very nervous. They're already scared and panicking, and they very easily fall down that ladder and get hurt, which is also a safety to our personnel because they can then not get knocked off the ladder by a panicking individual. And that's not even from a rescue standpoint. If it comes from a suppression standpoint, when you're sitting there with an elevated stream and you have to pour water onto a building, it's a lot safer to stand in this basket than on the tip of a ladder operating it when we always have the high winds. A lot of times when we've had fires and stuff, they always happen to come during a nor'easter. And I personally have been on the tip of that ladder in 35-mile-an-hour winds, and it's twisting, it's shaky, it's cold, you get fatigued. So a basket is a lot safer to our personnel operating than it is the straight stick aerial that we have now.
Now, with this fire truck, you're looking at a 100-foot ladder, and I assume it's a mid-mount truck. Would there be any additional needs or renovations needed to the firehouse itself to be able to pull this thing in and out?
No, we actually demoed this truck and we pulled it into our firehouse to make sure it actually fit. The way this truck is designed, it is with a 5-fly system, so you have 5 sections that extend versus ours that has a 3. It actually creates a lower travel height. So this truck would actually sit lower than our current ladder truck as far as obstructions and trees and wires, and actually fit in our firehouse better. And with that, because it has 5 sections versus 3, it's actually able to shorten the back end of the ladder a little bit, that section between the rear wheels and the tail, so it doesn't have a big end, which has the potential of being struck during turn, if you're trying to turn down narrow streets, of striking boats and vehicles that are parked along the city, which we know is increasing as during the summer months.
Now, you said you demoed a similar truck to this and you were able to navigate it up and down the streets without issues, because I think that would have been one of my concerns is with this newer truck, how would it maneuver around the city?
Yes, Mayor. We did. We took it down, especially our older streets, the north end areas where those are typically tighter streets. And we had 1 or 2 of our firemen drive it, not to get their opinion on how it handled. And they had no problems at all navigating those areas of the island.
All right, perfect. And you had said too, with our current truck now, the company who made that truck is no longer in business.
Yes, it's a Spartan cab, and then the rear is an American LaFrance LTI. That company is no longer in business, and it's hard sometimes to even find a mechanic that would be able to know the ins and out of that truck. Last time we had maintenance done on it, we happened to find a mechanic that was recommended through somebody else that knew the ins and outs of that truck. So that's, again, with that maintenance factor that we have to face with the current truck now.
I know your recommendation is to go with Pierce. What makes Pierce like a good recommendation for a company to go with?
Pierce has been around for, near over 100 years. They're a well-respected manufacturer in the industry, and they continue to see growth and advancement in their technologies in the truck. So there's no reason to foresee that they would not be around for the foreseeable future of this truck.
Okay. Is there any questions from council?
Well, I'd like to point out that, they say the national's average is 25 years, but, I don't think it's fair to compare, cars and trucks and everything, fire trucks and apparatus to say Arizona, where things live forever, as opposed to seashore where it's salt air and everything breaks down faster here. I mean, I can't imagine how many nor'easters and salt water that truck's been through. And, as much as you try to maintain it, there's got to be some breakdown in it. So it's probably due.
One of our retired firemen always said, "Rust never sleeps," and it's for true shore down here at the shore.
What kind of time frame do you have?
With this truck that we're looking at, it's a stock model truck, so the time we would see is approximately 6 months versus a custom, which would be 36 months currently. And with that, it's not a base model like work truck. It has about 80% of all the features that they usually incorporate into their custom models.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's a good.
I was going to say, can you tell us too about the setup of the truck? I had an opportunity. I went down to the fire convention and went and looked at some of these trucks. And something that was really impressive to me is how they were able to, I guess, do the setup. I don't know the technical terms, but maybe you could explain it.
You're in the right arena. We call it, it's a setup. This one is set up with, compared to our other model, it takes about 26 seconds for one man to set up this truck. And that's to put down all the outriggers and be able to get in the bucket and start their travel to where they have to go, a rescue or put a stream in operation. Our current truck now, we've done our own tests with everything, takes about 2.5 minutes with one fireman. We were able to get it down to about 2 minutes with two firemen. And generally, the way we operate, one guy is usually on this truck operating alone. So when it comes to speed and time is of the essence, when you need to get somebody out or get a stream in operation, it drastically cuts down on the time and we can actually get to where we need to be.
How fast does fire double?
About it doubles twice the size every minute.
Right.
So as
you're
it
talking
goes,
26 seconds versus 2 minutes.
yeah. And with our newer homes versus our old style homes, compartmentalization in the homes versus I don't know, I'm getting into too much detail and stuff, but it's very easier for fire to spread in our newer homes because of the open floor plan. So that twice every minute may be even faster.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's blatantly obvious that we've got our money's worth out of this current truck. And I mean, this discussion was started several years back with Mayor Simpson and all, and Tiger back there. And so we've been preparing for this, and I believe we've stated in the past meeting or so that we've been more or less budget, some debt has fallen off that to help with the cost in buying this truck. Is that correct, Roxanne, or Leon? Yeah. So, I mean, it seems like it's the perfect time to
Might be able to absorb it.
upgrade our equipment, absorb the cost.
Yeah, and I think Mike bring up a really good point. One of the strategies we have here in the city is we try to manage debt. As debt falls off, we schedule new things to come on. This kind of keeps taxes flat and under control. We're at a point where we're going to have some debt falling off. My understanding, I guess, is for this fire truck, it's roughly right around 1.6 million. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Is there any other questions, I guess, from council?
Yeah, Chief, I just had a question. I was kind of looking at a few things as you were speaking. Plenty excellent points by council, and your bullet point is excellent as well. And this is some really for safety, obviously, and for our citizenry. Definitely got to do this. I firmly believe, and I think council, we all do. I don't know if I missed this, but the 500-gallon water tank on the existing versus the 300-gallon on the new one?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that yet, or
I'm
did I
sorry?
miss that? Did I miss anything? Can you
No,
elaborate on that?
you're correct. Our current one is 500 and the newer one's 300. That's the way it was already designed from the factory. So 200 gallons doesn't make much difference when it comes to being able to put out water very fast from a single hose line. We use our pumpers more for that aspect. This is just something that gives it the ability, if need be, to put out a little small fire, maybe put some water on a car fire if you had to be there, or brush fire. And I'm trying to think, 300 gallons, that would give you about, a minute and a half of putting water on a fire. Another 100 would only give you probably another 2.5 minutes. It allows you some ability for a quick knockdown, but this truck is designed to be more of a ladder, and then it has that ability if you need it to. So it gives you a little playroom and stuff.
You mentioned vehicle fires. I've been in enough of them back in the day, been on the highways and everything. So,
Yeah.
okay, good to hear. All right, thank you.
If there's no other questions, I guess would council feel comfortable having Roxanne and our CFO move forward with putting together a bond ordinance for first reading at the next council meeting?
Absolutely.
All right, so if there's no objections, Roxanne, can you start to put that together for the next meeting? And it'll be 2 meetings. It'll be an introduction for the first meeting. There'll be a public hearing on it, and then a second reading for adoption. Chief, thank you very much. I appreciate your detailed explanation.
You're quite welcome. If anybody has any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I can go over things more.
All right, now we can get to the good stuff. We wanted to reorder things, so Paul didn't have to stay for the whole meeting. Next up, we got Resolution 2022-197, and this is the appointment of our new fire chief. We have a motion second.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
Second.
Third.
Fourth.
fourth.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
And before we bring Paul up, I just want to say a couple words, and then I'll bring him and his family up. I just want to say that I've known Paul for most of my life. He is an outstanding person, comes from an outstanding family, and very, very proud to see not just him become chief, but of his entire career here in Brigantine. And one of the things I've had the opportunity to do as a council member is kind of look over and see what the different departments do. And one of the things that always came up time and time again whenever there was fires or emergency situations on the island is how outstanding Paul was commanding those scenes. You know, and it's not just that. You look at the advancements that have come in the fire department. You know, we always say we're one of the best in the state of New Jersey. A lot of the technology that's gone on to that, and a lot of the initiatives that have come through that fire department, Paul's worked on. He's worked on the programs that have come in, getting the iPads in the ambulance, streamlining how we do all the reports. The other thing too is, you know, I talked with Tiger a little bit, and you talk about the new scheduling system that was put in place. One of the things that Chief Platt told me is that that scheduling system had to be built by the two of them, and without Paul, we wouldn't have it. You know, one of the things I know from my life, it's not the title who makes the person. It is the person who makes the title. It is their work ethic. It is their honor. It is their commitment to this community that will make all of us great. And I know Paul exhibits all those things. And to, you know, Paul and Byrne and the entire Fuller family, I am so proud for this moment. Paul, if you could come join me and have your family come up. I, Paul Fuller,
I, Paul Fuller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the state of New Jersey,
of the state of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and to the governments established
to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
required for the position
required for the position
of fire chief
of fire chief
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Chief. Official?
So I guess I'm supposed to say something. Uh, Thank you for the council and mayor for believing in me and thinking that I'm up to the challenge here. Want to thank, all the guys that came out, the on-duty guys, retired guys. Thank you very much. You guys started teaching me when I was a know-nothing probie and showing me what to do, what not to do, and I appreciate that. It helped me grow to be what I've become and where I've ended up. Thanks to all the chiefs from the neighboring departments, Ocean City, the airport, North Wildwood, Chip Stockton from the Fire Academy, or the county, Chief Platt. Who else am I missing out there? I don't know, everyone's blending in, so. Oh, Stan? Hey, there's Stan. Hey. This is my first chief right there. Thank you. I just wanted to thank you all for coming out, and I'm just happy to, you guys are believing me, and I'm going to do my best to set you guys up for success, because it's not without you guys, I look horrible. So I need you guys to help me do a good job. So thank you.
I think it's impressive how many chiefs showed up. I know we got Chief Widener that's here as well, so I wanted to welcome Chief Widener. And I know we have two Chief Platts here tonight, so got double trouble. But thank you for everybody who's coming out. We're going to go into executive session and give you guys a couple minutes. So can we have a motion and second, or do we have to do the resolution? Lynn, can we do the resolution for executive session?
Whereas the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas this public body is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the governing body wishes to discuss matters of litigation,
Yes, litigation.
minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires that confidentiality, then the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved that the public be excluded from this meeting. This resolution shall take effect immediately.
Perfect, thank you. Can we have a motion and second?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. That would be nice.
All right, we have a motion and second to return from executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Fred, can you summarize?
In executive session, the mayor and city council received reports from the manager in regard to two pieces of litigation. One matter deals with an internal personnel situation and a potential lawsuit. The manager has provided updated information. Additional information will be made available and will be made public in the next 30 to 60 days on that matter. The second matter in litigation, the authority of the tax assessor. Certain litigation has been filed which is challenging the manner in which tax assessors communicate with potential taxpayers in terms of the nature and quantity of mailing that needs to be done and directed to such taxpayers. This matter is also in court and is now will be filed with the appellate division here in the state. Additional information on this matter will be made available in the next 60 days.
Perfect, thank you. Next up, we have a presentation of the 2021 annual audit by our auditor, Leon Costello. I'll turn it
Thank you.
over.
So tonight, what I wanted to do was just say how wonderful you've been. I mean, everything is moving along very nicely. You've had a awesome 7.5 years worth of service from Roxanne. And there's no recommendations in the audit. I've known her for a while, and you're lucky to get her. It's, as you all know, you've worked with her now for years, that it's a pleasure, accurate, efficient, no nonsense, done, right? So-
Best CFO in the state of New Jersey.
The actual audit report itself has no formal findings, as I mentioned. I don't know how many brought their audits. Anybody have them?
I didn't bring it. There was no findings. I didn't bring it.
So you know from all the budget discussions, I was going to go through a handful of tabs of financially how strong you are and how well managed it's been. That's absolutely the case. I don't expect anything to change from that. We talked about the fire truck earlier. As the mayor mentioned, this debt planning's been going on for years. We know when the new issues are going to come on. We know when ones fall off. It's been a plan for a long time. We're also going to have another discussion about water rates, and sewer rates, that in the next couple of months. But from my standpoint, I'll be happy with the way things are going. I'm certainly going to miss her. I've known her, like I said, for a while, and been very fortunate to work with her. So that's my presentation. I don't know if there's any comments that you have, but you know you're on sound footing, and the audit report shows that.
Right.
And there are no formal recommendations to the state.
Perfect. I know for me personally, Leon, I'd like to thank you for everything you do for the city. I know we've worked together for about a decade now, and I am always impressed with the knowledge that you have and the willingness you have to answer questions. And I think between you and Roxanne, you've really given us like solid guidance to put the city on good financial ground. And I know for all of us, we're very grateful for everything the two of you guys do. So thank you.
Thanks.
Very true. And I gotta say, it's not easy to cut taxes nearly 7 years in a row. And, we couldn't have done it without the two of you. So anytime we can cut taxes for our citizens, especially with the Brigantine Taxpayers Association president here in the audience, happy to see that.
So now you have a resolution to accept the audit. Which, yes, Lynn will be.
I got it. All right, so resolution 2022-198, and this is the governing body's certification of the annual audit. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney.
Yes.
DeLucre.
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes,
motion carried.
thank you very much.
Thank you. And see you soon. It's budget time, real quick.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
And
Have a
just
good
for
night.
anybody that's listening, the audit report is on our website for their reading pleasure.
Thank you. We have ordinance number 15 of 2022. This is an introduction, and this is an ordinance to amend Chapter 65 to change the membership of the Sustainable Brigantine Green Team Permanent Advisory Committee. Have a motion second.
So moved.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
Ordinance number 16 of 2022. This is an introduction, and this is an ordinance amending the registration and maintenance of certain real property by mortgagees, providing for penalties, enforcements, as well as the regulation, limitation, and reduction of abandoned real property within the municipality, providing for severability, repealer, codification, and effective date. A motion second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Jim, just give us a brief update on what this is.
I'll do my best to keep it brief, Mayor. This is a pretty in-depth ordinance. It arose after Sandy. It allows us, in accordance with state law, to keep track of empty or abandoned homes from folks who either, had it damaged in Sandy, who lost it due to mortgage issues, whatever. And it kind of centralizes all the information in one location. Meaning the bank information, the owner's information, what the status of the property is, what the status of it is in the financial process that they're going through. And it allows us to share that information with everybody in the county. We, a couple of months ago, signed a shared services agreement with Atlantic County for the ProChant software, and that's basically what this ordinance is doing, bringing us into compliance with the state so that all of our information matches up with everybody else in the state. And the information flows.
Yeah, so this is based on the, I guess, updated standards from the state.
Correct. Yes.
Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none.
I just wanted to say, since it's an amendment from, like you said, after Sandy, when there was a mortgage foreclosure crisis.
Correct.
Because there's certainly not one now, but I
No.
agree wholeheartedly with the amendment and the ordinance.
Thank you.
And this just gives us a mechanism to be able to deal with abandoned properties.
So they don't sit, Mayor.
So they don't
We
just
had homes in the past, in my past life, that sat
Sat for
empty for
years.
years, with no way to track anybody down, no way to enforce anything. And we were having to go to court to get demo permits to get this thing taken down. Now, we have a much better flow of information and contact with the actual owners or responsible organization.
Yeah, and it kind of holds banks accountable. For banks, when there's foreclosures, a lot of banks were just sitting on properties and the properties were ending up in disarray. Now this is motivation for the banks to actually take action, move or sell or maintain, because if they don't, we're actually able to go through and demo those properties. And this is something that's been very useful to the city probably over the last decade.
Mhm.
Yeah. If there's no other comments, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
Resolution 2022-199, and this is a resolution authorizing a change order number 1, final, and this is to decrease the contract for the Lighthouse District Streetscaping Project final design, and this is a decrease in the amount of $5,234.05. Motion second.
I'll make that motion.
So moved. Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
Resolution 2022-200, and this is authorizing supply and delivery of heavy-duty equipment rental, and this is for Mike Zindorf LLC of Mays Landing, New Jersey, in a should not exceed amount of $43,000. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-201, and this is a cancellation of real estate taxes for a veteran who is 100% permanently and totally disabled. We have a motion and second.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-202, and this is Chapter 159, and this is for a Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant, and this is in the amount of $6,360. We have a motion and second.
So moved.
Second.
Chief, you want to just a little bit on the grant?
Yeah, Mayor, this is a grant we get every year. It helps offset the cost of body armor. It doesn't pay for it completely, but and unfortunately, the number goes down every year, but we still get a nice chunk of money. It helps offset the cost of outfitting officers with new body armor. It's every 5 years. So it depends on the year. There's a different rotation. So each year, a new group of officers are up to replace their body armor.
About how many will this buy?
Like I said, it just offsets the cost. This year is a heavy year for us. I want to say, you might have seen the numbers. I want to say it's
Yeah,
about 8 this year.
Just to give you a little background, when we buy a vest and we apply for these grants, half is allocated to the state and half is allocated to the federal government. This happens to be one that they had released the end of last year, but we're holding until, I think they changed over all their systems, and until we could get ourselves in tune to what they were doing, they held on to this. So we should be getting another one soon. But I want to say they're probably about $1,000 a vest, maybe a little bit more. So this reimbursement, basically is what this is, was based on a large purchase. And I think there were 10 vests bought at the same time. So we have to talk about how we want to handle this later.
It's like getting called to the
You've
principal's
been
office.
summoned.
I send my guys down.
No, perfect. Well, it's good to see that we're able to help offset these costs, and obviously we want to keep our officers safe, so thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Resolution 2022-203, and this is support of opioid abuse awareness. I believe the state of New Jersey designated October 6, 2022 as Knockout Opioid Abuse Day. Can we have a motion second?
So moved.
Questions or comments from council? I know this is a big thing, not just in Brigantine, but across the county and across the country. There's been a lot of lives that have been ruined and damaged because of opioids. And I think it's important to, one, raise awareness, but one of the most important things is knocking out the stigma. You know, there's a stigma behind getting help. And it's important for people to have these public conversations and make sure that people can get the help they need so you can start to put families and lives back together. If there's no questions or comments, can we have roll call?
You,
Yes.
Lettieri?
Yes.
Haney?
Yes.
DeLucre?
Yes.
Kane?
Yes.
Reardon?
Yes.
Mayor Sarah?
Yes.
Motion carried.
We have a consent agenda. We have our St. Thomas raffle license, number 983. The Brigantine Republican Club Halloween Parade request. Primal Surf Fall Surf Sup Tournament request. There's a lot of surfs in
Say that
one.
again.
Surf's Up. And the VFW Veterans Day Parade request. Have a motion second?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, can we have roll call?
View,
Yes.
Lettieri,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
DeLucre,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Reardon,
Yes.
Mayor Sarah,
Yes.
motion carried.
We have our council manager committee discussions. Jim?
Nothing additional, Mayor.
Roxanne?
Good.
Okay. I got excited. I thought you had something. John? Anything about Chief? No? Then we'll send it down to our deputy mayor, Karen Buick.
Last week, Dennis and I attended the Recreation Commission meeting. There are 30 classes this fall. They all started this week. Had stopped down there to talk to Jimmy Mogan this morning, and there were a ton of people in and out, all the Zumba classes and yoga and all that. Was quite active down there. There are trips in full swing. Italy, they're leaving for Italy next week or the week after. And then there's a big trip to Spain and Portugal in May. They do a fabulous travel program down there. And also don't forget the Bridge Fest, October 15th. Farmers Market will be 9 o'clock to 1 p.m. Then the 5K run and walk starting at 3 o'clock at the Cove. Online registration is happening now. And then 4 o'clock, the citywide bridge crawl with pop-up shopping, music, spirits, and dining. We're hoping for good weather and looking forward to it. Thank you. That's
Perfect.
it.
Thank you. Kick it down to our second ward councilman, Paul Lettieri.
Yes, I'd like to take this time to personally congratulate Chief Fuller and his family for his appointment to chief. I'd also like to take some time to thank John Doring and his Public Works Department after the last 5 days we've had here. I think he did an excellent job keeping a lid on it with some of the incidents we had with pumps being down and streets being flooded. Also, I'd like to say that the seawall did its job as usual, and it was not breached. And at this time, I'm going to ask some of our neighbors in that area to please be patient with Public Works and give them ample time to rebuild the entrances to the beach. As I understand, there's already been some calls saying, oh, well, weather's going to be nice next week. When will we be able to get onto the beach? So I think it's important that they have some time to rebuild some of those. That's all I have.
No, perfect. Thank you. Go to our third ward councilman, Dennis Haney.
Thank you, Mayor. I second the remarks of Karen on the Recreation Board meeting and the kudos that Paul just passed along to Chief Fuller. Very nice to see. On the Recreation Board, just one thing I just wanted to add, there was the baseball netting that we spoke of, and that's on the radar. Speaking to John at some point, get that wrapped up. There might be some things to look at as far as the height of the netting and adjusting poles, whatever, but it's just good that it's on the radar and we're looking at it, just to raise it, just as safe as we can make the field, the better. Our Little League fields, and I don't know if there's anything going on with the Babe Ruth field, but so usually with the, there's not as much going on. On Tuesday, the 27th, Bill Reynolds, Wheels, was sworn in as a prosecutor. Congratulations to prosecutor, Atlanta County Prosecutor Reynolds, homegrown guy here in the island, and just wishing him the best moving forward in that law enforcement endeavor. Also, just wanted to ask if there was any commentary or is there any information, John and maybe Roxanne, just regarding the Roundhouse? That was another thing that at the 26th Street field. That was just another thing that popped up on our our Recreation Board meeting. I know it's Mike and I, a bunch of us, plenty of us, probably Neil, we've all been in there, coaching and in the administrative end of things. It's a little long in the tooth, I'll just put it that way. So is there anything that's It's, at some point, maybe we'd be able to address that in some way, shape, or form.
We've been discussing it in our capital improvement meetings, and we are looking for getting some finance together.
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, it's, okay, perfect, thank you. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you. To our fourth ward councilman, Rick DeLuca.
Thank you, Mayor. As Dennis noted, a number of us had the pleasure of attending Bill Reynolds' I guess unofficial swearing-in ceremony last week. And it was nice that the Brigantine was able to host it and that, as a hometown boy, that he wanted to do it here. That's the reason I was a little late tonight. I was just coming back from that event. And also want to join in my fellow council people in congratulating the new chief, Chief Fuller. And I was very happy to hear, although I knew this of him already, in his remarks, that he's clearly an innovative and a forward-thinking person, which I think we need more than ever. The challenges that are presented to the entire city, but certainly to the fire department, are changing and are maybe different than when I was a kid and grew up across from the fire department. And, we'd see the trucks go out every now and again, figure, okay, they're going to have to fight a fire. Well, as the number of fires decreases, other challenges increase, certainly with the EMT services, with the rescue services, and probably going forward, a lot more flooding events and things of that nature than we historically have seen or certainly want to see. So good to see someone like Paul in that position to join his cohorts in police and public works, also innovative, forward-thinking, and a credit to this town. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Go to our councilman at large, Neil Kane.
Just a couple things, and some people have already repeated what I was going to say, but congratulations to Chief Fuller. He's going to do an outstanding job, great guy. I want to thank the police department, public works, and everybody did an amazing job over the last 5 days. Some people complained about some of the flooding, but it could have been a hell of a lot worse. And these guys got on top of things, got pumps back up running, did an amazing job. So what it would have looked like 20 years ago is unbelievable. So I want to thank everybody for the efforts that they made today to keep the city, keep things moving and moving forward. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot, so I appreciate your time.
Go to our councilman at large, Mike Reardon.
Thank everyone for coming out tonight and spending some time with us here. It's always a pleasure to have you. Other than that, I just want to say, of course, having Chief Fuller promoted today is wonderful because he's an outstanding person. His family's great. His sister babysat for my kids when they were young. And and they couldn't be happier for his mom and dad also. Other than that, I just want to say thank you again to John Doring, Rich Casamento for the job they did during the storm. I think we were talking earlier, did you say there was 7 inches of rain in one night? 6.9 inches in a short amount of time. And the job they did with the floodgate at the seawall, at the boat ramp, kind of holding off to the last minute so that people could get their boats out when they knew the storm was coming. And you waited, and that was great. I know a lot of people got their boats out early when they knew the storm was coming. And then I'm sure, Chief Casamento, that in a time like this past weekend, I know we had a situation where one truck hit a pole outside the boat ramp. How many more calls would you say you got on a weekend like this with the storm?
Well, as with any storm, the burglar alarms go way up because of the wind, but you have to respond to them like they're real. And most of them are wind related, but so those calls go way up. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people that try to drive through that water and then they become disabled. So that becomes an issue because now we got to try to get to them. And we don't want to ruin our trucks. So, the calls, they definitely go up, but I have to tip my hat to the electric company. I don't know if people notice, but when we have electric problems on this island, they're the unsung heroes. They come right out. They took care of that live wire. That was a live wire that went down right by Bayshore in the boat ramp.
Right.
Which is always a bad situation, but Over the years, I've seen them time and time again, and I'm really impressed with the way they respond onto the island, because I know people offshore that wait a really long time sometimes to get their service back up and running. So that's nice to see.
It actually looked like they had guys stationed here.
They actually had a couple trucks were in the area and they
Yeah.
converted them. They're right near Brigantine and they sent them right over.
But
and-
even earlier than that.
Yeah, they did.
During the
Well, the
storm,
whole
we were-
weekend,
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
here.
there were cars,
And then by the
trucks here.
time they were done, I think there was 6 huge electric trucks dealing with that wire. So
Wow.
they definitely send us nice resources.
So like I said, you know, besides the normal, regular, super outstanding job, super job that you do all the time, when we have a weekend like we just had, it's, really thank you. Tell you, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's all. And if anyone has any problems, of course, you could always find my number on the front page of the Brigantine Times. You can call me for any problems or concerns or anything else you may need. Thanks.
You know, I'm just gonna get a whole bunch of people to call you now. I always say, one of the things that really makes this city run well is, all of our departments. You guys do an outstanding job. We're very proud. And you see, when the storms hit and things get chaotic, you guys make it work. And we're grateful for that. Same thing too with our service from Atlantic City Electric. I mean, they are outstanding, respond really fast. I know anytime there's any issues, there's people I can just pick up the phone and call a direct person and get answers. They're very responsive to Brigantine, and we're grateful for that. And a lot of it has to do with the relationships, that all of us build. And I've seen that's been a big thing here in the city, is the relationships between the departments and how well everyone works together. And that's why, like I always say, that's why the island keeps floating, because you guys keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna change it up a little bit. I wanted to let people know, since we are moving forward with the contract for the redesign of the circle, one of the things we've talked about for a number of years is the lighthouse itself is probably in need of some maintenance and repairs. I know our city engineer right now is putting together an RFP to come look at the structural needs of the lighthouse. So once that RFP goes out and comes back, we'll have an idea of what we need to do. My thoughts on this, and hopefully you agree, is that we take care of whatever repairs or maintenance needs to be done to the lighthouse before the county comes in and does their redesign. I know the counties, I think they're going to move a little slower than we can move, so I think it'd be good timing to try to get this done. The other thing I wanted to talk about is one of the big things I hear in the community is having this need for like some kind of grand entranceway or centerpiece as you come into the island. If we're going to look at doing some maintenance and repairs, one of the things I was able to talk with Public Works about is, is there LED lighting or some things that we can do with landscaping and lighting to really accent that lighthouse? That would be the second phase of this. So the first part is we need to see what the structural needs are. The second part is we can look at some beautification things, have our stuff in place. And then when the county comes in, obviously they would work around the outside of that. But this way we could kind of have the two things hit at the same time. Once the RFP is ready, obviously that'll come before council. The information from that, when it comes back, would come before council again. But I just think it'd be a nice addition to the island. And it's something we've talked about since I've been on council. And I think for a small investment, we could really make that a nice entranceway to the island. The other thing I want to talk about is this Saturday, we're going to be holding a community meeting about some of the various offshore wind projects that are out there. It'll be this Saturday, 10 a.m. at the Brigantine School. It's open to the public. We're going to have a number of elected officials that are there from the county and the state level they're very interested in hearing our questions and concerns, so they're coming out to listen. The goal of this meeting is to share what we've learned so far. We have our windmill committee here in Brigantine. We've done a lot of research, have some discussions. We've been in contact with Orsted and representatives from Atlantic Shores. We've been in contact too with Rutgers University. Rutgers has been doing the studies on these projects. They've been very open and willing to share information with us. And we want to share where we are so far with the public. The other big thing too is we want to hear the community's questions and concerns. We know what we know, but there's a lot of very intelligent people in the community who want to share what they know. And I know in some of the meetings that I've attended, I've had an opportunity to meet and communicate with those people. And it's really opened my eyes and kind of shaped at least my view of how we should move forward as a city. There's a lot of mixed opinions about wind energy in the ocean, and it's still very unclear what impact this technology is going to have on Brigantine and the surrounding communities. And we want to make sure that we get a better feel for this. We also want to make sure that we can do all we can to get accurate information out to the public. And we want to work to make sure that we can minimize any negative impacts that could come from this project. There's two kind of things we want to look at this. Most prevalent as you talk to people in the community is the visual aspect and the proximity towards shore. We're looking at somewhere, it keeps varying. I hear somewhere between 9 and 10 miles. The number I was told was 9.8. I know off of Ocean or LBI, it's 9 miles. We don't know what that proximity means to Brigantine. So the visual impact is something that people have concern with. There's also some environmental impacts that go along with this. We're working with Senator Van Drew's office, Congressman Van Drew's office and Senator Palestina's office to get the research on this. And that's why these questions are important. There's some things out there that we might not have thought about. They're working through their resources to try to get us this information. We're also working with Atlantic Shores. I told them whatever questions that come in for this meeting, we would be willing to share those questions with them ahead of time. We're looking at doing a community open house in November. I think that date's going to be November 12th, but we're just working on hammering that down. We want an opportunity to meet with the public, to talk with people. We want to make sure that when they come in to do their meeting, that they are fully prepared to answer questions for the public. The big thing on this too is over the weekend, Governor Murphy was on a radio show called Ask the Governor. On that radio show, he was pressed by the host about the proximity of the ocean wind projects being 9 miles off the coast. And he was asked, don't you think that's too close? He agreed that 9 miles was too close. And then he followed up to say that they should go further out, and they will go further out, giving the impression that he intends to move these windmills out from the 9 mile mark. Ocean City kind of went through this process too. Originally, they were somewhere around 9 or 10 miles. Ocean City's out to 15 miles. I've been told two stories on this. One, they moved out further as kind of a sign of goodwill because they have to run the transmission lines into Ocean City, and Ocean City was so upset about it. I've also heard from two different sources that the actual reason they had to move is because the Coast Guard made them move because of the tug and tow lines and the shipping lanes. So that's something we're looking into. But on Monday morning, because obviously the announcement from the governor happened over the weekend, on Monday morning, I reached out to the governor's office to discuss the governor's plan on moving the windmills back. Their staff said they're reviewing what they can do to help. They're going to get back to us here in Brigantine. I also sent a recording of the governor's radio show and a pretty good clip of it. So it's not like we pulled a piece of it. We pulled a good clip of the conversation that was happening, sent it to Senator Palestina's office, and let him know that if the governor intends to move these windmills out, that Brigantine would be 100% in favor of the governor's plan to move these out. We want to know what it is we can do here and what Atlantic County can do to show support for his plan to move them further out. Senator Palestina sent a copy of the recording along with the request to say, listen, this is important to Brigantine and other shore communities. How do we make this happen? I followed up with Senator Palestina's office today. They have not heard back from the governor, so we're going to stay on top of this to see what we can do. But I think that is an interesting turn of events. And a lot of it has to do with the lawsuits that have been filed in Ocean City and the lawsuits that are being filed by private individuals up in Long Beach Island. We've been in communication with people on both sides of this, from Ocean City through LBI, and constant coordination to see, what it is we can do and to make sure that we negotiate the best possible deal for Brigantine and the surrounding communities. This meeting is very important because we want to share this information, and we also want to know what people can do if they want to be more involved. So again, it's this Saturday, 10 a.m. at the Brigantine Community School. So I hope everybody can join us. That's all I have for tonight. So at this time, we will open it up for public comment. Anybody wishing to be heard, please come up and state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. I'll try to be as brief as possible. My name is Bob Grober, and I'm the Commandant for the Cape Atlantic Marine Corps League. I've overseen the Toys for Tots program here for the last few years. And this is my grandson, Jake Grober, who attends Holy Spirit High School. I am going to be turning over the reins to him. He is going to be the coordinator. He has been recommended to be a youth ambassador for the northeast part of the country. So we're hoping that he does in fact get that. It'll be pretty demanding. I don't think he knows what he's in for yet, but so I just wanted to let you know that we are kicking off the program. We will be going around and visiting with our partners from the last few years. There'll probably be a couple of changes to some of the businesses, and we'll get everything out hopefully next week. When we do know the exact locations, I'll email Lynn. I'll let you know exactly where they are. And last year went very well, I think. I don't know how you made out with your Wawa cards or whatever.
It was wonderful.
Okay, that was a great idea,
Yeah.
and I was so glad that you were able to do that because we're up against it. Every year, it's the same old story. You know, we're really excited. This is our 75th year, and we've given children, approximately 280 million children, Christmas over the years. And to think that when it started 75 years ago, it was a major. His wife made 2 dolls, and times were tough. It was right after the war, and she told her husband, listen, go donate these to a children's place. So he came back and he says, there are no areas where they'll take toys for kids. And she said, well, I guess you'll have to start one. And he did. And Walt Disney was the creator of our logo. I don't know whether most people know that or not, but he was very involved with Toys for Tots in the beginning. So in any event, we will keep you appraised of where we are and how we stand. And hopefully we can get out the word like we did last year. If Emmett could put something in the newspaper like 2 weeks from now, and then again 2 weeks before. And you can email me with the date that you would like us to collect the toys, and we'll be all set and everything. And we're looking forward to it. Jake, do you have anything you want to say?
No, not much, but I'm really excited for the opportunity, and I think with the help of the council and the residents of Brigantine that we can have a really great year.
It's perfect.
Excellent. I can attest to the great job he did last year.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck, Jake.
Anything we can do to support you, I mean, we're behind you. And Jake, it just really makes me happy to see young people get involved in the community and doing something bigger than themselves. And gives me a lot of hope for the future. So thank you for taking on this task. Thank you. Yes, Mrs. Phillips.
Good evening. Ann H. Phillips, 308 27th Street. You did talk about the windmill issue. And what officials will be available Saturday morning for questions besides this council?
So we have a number of the commissioners there. We'll also have representatives from our legislative team, from Senator Palestina's office, as well as Don Guardian and Claire Swift's office.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be there. I've reached out to Van Drew's staff. I don't know if they're available, but Van Drew's been very engaged in the process. We've also extended the invitation to other mayors and elected officials. So hopefully they join, but they have not responded.
Yeah, that's very important. That was my concern when I came here as to who else will be there on it, for instance, on the state level. Excuse me. And what about the meeting on November the 12th? Who will be invited to that or encouraged to come?
So that'll be an open house. That'll be hosted by Atlantic Shores. One of the things I wanted them to do is have their project team here to be able to answer questions. I don't know if you remember when Atlantic City Electric came in and did their
Yes.
presentation.
Mhm.
We wanted to set something up similar with that. They're going to have different stations and areas that people can come up. They can see the plans, see the design, see the visualization. They'll have representatives there for their environmental impact stuff that they're working on. So we want to make sure that whatever questions people have, they have someone there that can accurately answer them.
Well, will the other officials be there as well in terms of from the state? And
The officials are welcome to come. We haven't gotten to the point of that, but I would extend that invitation and hopefully they would be there to join us. But we were focused on this meeting right now.
Yes, one of the things I found interesting at the meeting that was held last week down at the community center, and the gentleman said that the governor has, of course, made this of a primary importance as far as he's concerned, and that he has done a lot of this through executive orders. And my concern and question was, what role has the state legislature played in all of this? And I'd like to ask them that, because at this point, it seems that all the pressures and the speed and the advocacy are coming from the governor. But what about the rest of us out here? And again, what role has the state legislature played in all this? And
My understanding, it's none.
and
This
that's
is all done
that's
through
my
executive
concern, yes. And that's why it's important that they get here and answer, be accountable to us.
With the amount of money involved and what, with the whole project that's involved, you would think there should be a legislative process involved. Yet, there's been 3 executive orders. The last one was last Thursday, doubling the amount of windmills off our coast.
No, yeah, this is, I think this is very, very disturbing, and the people are being left out, and this is a huge project.
And listen, there's 2 great websites, you probably know about them. I should say, there's 2 websites that offer a lot of information from the groups that have concerns and issues with that. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but one is saveourcoastnj.org, and the other one is savelbi.org. A lot of information there about the economic or the environmental impact on it, the costs, and a lot of other issues.
And the effect on the ratepayers. We don't know that. Now we hear, our gas is going to go up. And now what's coming down the road with this? And I just think that this, the process has been remiss in keeping the people out of it. And so when you have your committee meeting and Atlantic Shores comes, it would be good to have people who will be there to perhaps rebut or ask questions of this company. And this is, it's amazing that this is now approaching, and most of us don't have much knowledge about it at all. And so that was my concern, that you get people here who represent us and are accountable to us to answer questions that we have. So I'm glad you're moving in that direction, and that's the way it should be. What about representation from LBI, since they're involved in a lawsuit?
We've been in contact with Bob Stearns, who is the gentleman who's in charge of the organization up there who's filed it. His lawsuit isn't against the windmill company itself. His lawsuit is against the federal government, claiming that the federal government didn't follow its own policies. For him, this is the first of many lawsuits that he and his organization tend to file. They know that there's not really a strong chance that they're going to stop the project, but they're hoping to slow the project down enough that if there was a change in administration at the federal level, if there was a different president, you might be able to change the project that way. So that's one of their strategies they're working on right now. I don't know how that'll play out, but I know we're in constant contact with them as well as the Ocean City groups.
Well, have they agreed to come, for instance, either on Saturday or on in November?
We've sent the information out to them. I know some of their representatives plan on attending. I don't know if their leadership plans on attending. I just don't know, but I do know that they will have people at our meeting.
Because we all need to know what they're doing too, in terms of legally. So that's important.
I was going to give a brief overview on Ocean City's lawsuit as well as LBI's lawsuit. From my conversations with them, I think I could at least give people an update on what it is. Ocean City is a little more disturbing. They have transmission lines that are running right through Ocean City. The State Board of Public Utilities, when Ocean City tried to fight it and stop it, the State Board of Public Utilities took away any jurisdiction that local municipalities have. They are suing to say that the state does not have that right. So that's one of the biggest areas of contention. Luckily for Brigantine, we do not have landfall. There's no transmission lines coming through Brigantine. They're going through Atlantic City, LBI, and north of LBI.
Yeah, we've got to get together on this. I mean, because it concerns all of us. So thank you for your efforts, and I hope we'll have a good turnout on Saturday morning.
Yeah, and I can tell you that Palestine has been very engaged. Whatever resources we've needed, he's been there behind us, he and his staff. And I really think that, like you said, that is the appropriate avenue, especially when the governor made his statements. It's important for the state legislature to be involved in this decision because I don't think executive orders are meant to be used in this way. And our Board of Commissioners actually passed a resolution calling the governor out for his use of executive orders and not allowing the legislature to do their job.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Some excellent points, Mrs. Phillips. Thank you. Some excellent points you make. It's a huge project, massive.
All right, if there's no other public comment, we'll close the public portion. Any final council comments?
Yes, Mayor, I'd just like the record to reflect that Chief Casamento earlier invoked the age-old axiom, tip of the hat, which is sometimes you hear tip of the cap. Although, well, tip of the hat, you hear that now and then. Rick seems to think it's older than Moses, but it's actually still pretty common. And I tip my cap too as well to along with obviously the rest of council, Public Works, Fire Department, and Police for doing an outstanding job. And some people now and then you hear, well, that's their job. They're supposed to do that. But any of our folks, anybody, when you're out there, it's a different deal. I mean, I think any of us who've just been maybe just on our general travels would see how hairy things can get. Talk about the linemen. I know when I was out on the road, when they arrived, everybody was thankful because the wind's whipping the thing around, and you got rain on the ground, you got people, you got to be a hawk out there. So anyway, great job by all. Thank you. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Dennis.
I got something I'd like to say about the fire equipment.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
mean, we spend a lot of money on a lot of things here on the island. And I think the money being spent on new fire equipment is well-founded. I mean, when we're talking about people's lives, there is no expense. It's too great. So I think that,
And vests.
I think, yeah, and the vest for the police department also. I think that that's something that we have to look at. We have to fund, even if they have to defund something else or hold back on something else. You know, that's important. It's important to the lives of the people on this island.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, just to capitalize on that, I don't, at least for the fire truck, I don't think we need to defund anything else. One of the things we really do is manage the budget. So we have debt that's falling off that'll be paid off. And what we'll do is we'll replace that with the cost for the fire truck. So there'll be no defunding of anything. So I just wanted to clarify that. But I do think your points are very well made. You can't put a price on human life. And we need to do what we need to do to make sure that our departments have the tools and resources they need to do their jobs properly and safely. All right, so if there's no other comments, can we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you have it. Thank you for joining us at our October 5th council meeting. We appreciate your service.